on the last video, we got the transmission tunnel and firewall most of the way figured out. Our next step is going to be getting the drive shaft tunnel sorted out. So we need to cut out the rest of the center of the floor and start getting it set up with the hoops. I'm probably going to start by cutting this all out, putting in our hoops back here, and we're going to break this up into 2 or 3 sections. So I'm either going to do one solid tunnel piece going from about right here all the way back to where it needs to go, or I'm going to break it up to where we have a center section, and then we have a rear section, and then we have this little portion right here. So if it's 2, it's going to be that little portion and a whole big piece. If it's 3, we're just going to kind of break it up a little bit. It shouldn't really be too bad. We just need to start getting it cut out. And then one of the other things that we're going to have to plan for is this thing's going to have a 2-piece drive shaft in it from the Mustang. So we need to make a mount to actually hold the carrier bearing itself. But overall, it shouldn't be bad. So let's get to cutting this thing apart. Tell you, that plasma cutter makes light work of cutting apart some of this thing. Obviously, I just free-handed that, but it's not a big deal. We don't need super straight edges.
I had faith in you, Tyler. I really had faith in you.
Thanks. We got a big fat hole in the floor.
I'll tell you what.
Now you can see that other layer right there. Break this up probably into 4 total sections. We're going to do a section that goes from here, this hoop, to the middle, and then from the middle to here. So in other words, this can be whatever it wants to be, which is probably going to be this height, and then it's going to taper down. It's going to come to this one, and then it's going to go straight from this one to this one. So these will be the same height. This one will be as tall as this. And then when we get back to this part, that'll be a 4th piece. So we're going to do this in 4 separate pieces. Shouldn't look too bad. We're going to try to put carpet in this thing, so we're going to cover up anything that we do. Doesn't mean we don't want it to look halfway decent, but we're going to cover it up.
Start it up.
Try to flatten out all these little indentations, these ridges, so that way when I make the piece that goes over top of this, I can hopefully slot it in between these 2 pieces, which will be a really nice fit. But I'm gonna have to work it a lot with a hammer and dolly, and then we'll take this and kind of keep working it back and forth. It's gonna take a lot of work to do it that way, but we're gonna get better results. And then once we get it all flattened out, we'll actually go ahead and grind this down and smooth it out. And I might have to make some little recessed cuts in here to be able to start actually flattening it out, because I don't know that it's going to want to do that in its current state. At this point, I'm just going to leave all this stuff like it is. We welded it in up here, like tacked it to the back side of this. But to do any of this stuff, we're going to have to do it from underneath of the car. So since I already have the relief cuts made, it shouldn't be too bad to get that shaped up to it. Now we just got to put in a piece from here to here. So you'll notice that this is actually a little bit crooked, but that's just going with the shape of this. I could have got all crafty with it and cut into there, but I don't think I really need to do that. I mean, it should turn out just fine like it is. Even though I kind of want to. Now that I have that straightened out, we're just going to go ahead and make the piece that goes across here. These will still be hanging out like this, but we'll kind of shape that in and get it all sorted out. Now that we have the back piece in there, we need to get this area around the shifter figured out. So I think I'm gonna take the shifter out and just make a piece that goes over top of here. And then we're actually gonna leave a gap between here and here going down. So that way I can come back through and figure out how I wanna handle these bolts. All right, I gotta tell you, that was a lot more work than what I was anticipating. I mean, kind of wore me out, but wasn't too bad. I think it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect by any means, but it's gonna do the job. Next thing we need to do is get that steering column in there so we can get this thing up on the lift, get it all torn apart, and start doing all the finishing work that needs to be done, and get the last little bit of structuring in here for the suspension so that way we can officially call this a complete rear-wheel drive roller.